a few thoughts that that have come up here. So visioning, one of the things I wanted to say was that I didn't want to give you the impression that visioning was about creating a different version of you, that there was something wrong with you, and that it's as much more about the process of a true you. I think this occurred to me when I was listening to a webinar with one of my mindfulness teachers, and she hit home on this point, and I thought, oh gosh, I really hope I didn't give the wrong impression to people about visioning, that visioning is supposed to be, okay, the me today is not good enough, and how do I create a better version of me, right? This is really, visioning is so much more about finding out, at least particularly the way I approach it, right, is really about finding out what matters most to you. And you'll see that if you started module 2 as well, in terms of really understanding what drives you and what you're proud of and what your real purpose is. So the entire process about Career Lab, right, is about approaching your career from a matching perspective of figuring out how to explore who you are, what matters most to you. So I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't being overly sensitive and didn't give you some kind of impression that that somehow you're not good enough. So that was the first thing. Similarly, right, it's not even about changing your life, right? To say, oh, this is broken in my life, I rated myself a 2 here or a 3 here, right? It's all about fulfillment and satisfaction. The whole life wheel is really much about not rating, giving a score to something in your life, but about your satisfaction with it. So your fulfillment of it, your enjoyment of it, not that something is necessarily broken. So again, I think it's just a positive framing. And I just wanted to make sure that I hit on those 2 points, because I didn't want anyone to walk away feeling like something was broken or something was wrong or something wasn't good enough. The third thing that hit me was that that positive affirmations that we did in module 1, there's actually some additional ways that you can use them that I thought I would share. And the first is, you can use them to enhance, or if you don't have a vision board and you are going to do one, you can use them to actually be part of your vision board, either a Pinterest version or a physical version. And if you look at those affirmative statements, what you can then do is check your vision board to say, okay, I said I am this. Does my vision board represent that? So that's something you can do. And for fun, I have actually pulled out my vision board for you. So this is the vision board there we go, that I did, poster size, that I did when I was leaving corporate life and taking a year off. I didn't do such a great job at making it a full year, but I tried. And so my vision board contained a lot of images of me being restful and me being like going to beautiful places and just floating. This was my favorite. I have multiple of these floating. I think I was just so burned out and exhausted. I just wanted to like lie in water and float there for forever. And then when I came back from my time off, I realized that I didn't have enough room to add a version of what does the employed me, the entrepreneur me look like. So I ended up having to do an entire other side of my vision board, check this out, where I ended up having, and it's for me, it's things like, okay, I'm not going to be a ballerina, but for me, this was my image of balancing life and being graceful in having, a balanced life. Of course, this is my favorite Cartier, the nail bracelet, which I call nailed it, because my family, we always try to say everything, we nailed it. So things like that. So you can go back to your own vision board and use some of your affirmative statements. Or if you are so brave as to try to design one, now would be a good time since you have completed all of those. This is a second thing, is that a teacher of mine recently came up with this challenge for coronavirus, COVID challenge, to do a montage video. And that the video is actually like a video version of a vision board for you. So with images and music, and I guess included in module 1 was something about the mind movie, right? Where you can create your own movie in your head and you play a particular scene. I hadn't really ever heard of someone creating an entire video that is much broader about a whole vision board. So I thought it was a fun idea. We'll see whether I find the free time to do it. But I thought it was interesting to mention that's something else you can do. The other thing that hit me was that a daily mantra. And for me, I remember, and if you link it to an existing routine, a daily mantra works really well. So at one point when I had a particularly really rough time at work where I wasn't enjoying it, I had said, I had pulled out Gandhi's quote, "Be the change you want to see." And every morning when I hit my card on the turnstile, I would just say to myself, "Be the change, be the change." I'd hit the button to the lift to go upstairs and I'd say, "Be the change, be the change." And then I'd click into the door and I'd say, "Be the change." And so all day I just carried around, like, just don't be a complainer, just be the change, like mirror, demonstrate the behaviors that you want to see. And so that's something else you can do with respect to one of the positive affirmative statements you came up with, is you can turn it into a daily mantra for yourself. Next, morning pages. I don't know if anybody does these or if you know what they are. I call it morning pages because that came from a famous book from 30 years ago called The Artist's Way. But a lot of people, I don't do them, but I know a lot of people that do them, which is, it's pretty much, and you might be able to find out more if you Google it, but if you do like 3 pages every morning, stream of consciousness, but usually best linked to a particular prompt. And so you could actually use your affirmative statements in a morning pages format, or journaling. I guess a lot of people do journaling, right? So you could pick an affirmative statement and then journal around it. So that's another way that you can use them. And then last one is, for those of you that meditate or are thinking of meditating, you can actually meditate on your positive affirmations. And I went to a presentation with Vishen Lakhiani, who wrote Code of the Extraordinary Mind and runs a company called Mind Valley. And Vishen actually he trained us in this. We actually sat and did this for 40 minutes, where his meditation technique is to use those affirmative statements in the form of a question. So during the meditation, what you actually do is you actually ask the universe, why am I? And you fill in your affirmative statement, right? So let's say, if you say, I have a fabulous relationship with my partner, then what you would say during the meditation is, why do I always have such a fabulous relationship with my partner? And the idea behind it, and you do this for all your different statements. I think he says he has something like 28 statements that he goes through every morning. And the idea behind it is that, similar to what you read in the science behind visioning, is that then your mind is constantly looking for answers, right? Your brain is looking for the answers to those questions. So then it starts showing you all the answers. As opposed to all the negatives, it starts showing you all the positives. So I had thought of that when I was closing out this module, and I had remembered that I had sat through that session with Vishen when he did that. And I thought, oh, okay, let me throw that in, because I think it's an interesting enhancement to visioning. So that is